Thank you for joining the Halal in Travel Global Summit 2002 hosted by Crescent Rating. This afternoon session is titled Challenges and Opportunities in the Cruise Sector for the Muslim Market. My name is Mohamed Firhan Abdul Salam, and I am currently with Singapore Tourism Board as the Area Director for Indonesia based in Jakarta. I am the moderator for today. I'm extremely honored to have such distinguished panelists with me today. Let me quickly introduce them. First of all, we have Mr. Kenneth Yeo, the Regional Director of Sales for Royal Caribbean Group. Kenneth has more than 22 years of experience in various industries, including being the Regional Director in the USA for a pharmaceutical company. Quickly say hi, Kenneth.
Hello, everyone.
Next up, we have Miss Ivana Karanikic, owner of
Karanikic.
Prolingua Travel DMC. Ivana is an experienced tourism professional. She is a tour guide, tour leader, and interpretive guides trainer. She set up Prolingua Travel DMC, the only halal certified travel agency in the Western Balkan countries. So she's very passionate about Islamic history and culture. Hi, Ivana.
Hi.
Next, we have Mr. Johnny Judianto, President Director of Best Tour. Pak Johnny is a veteran in the travel industry in Indonesia. Besides founding Best Tour, he also runs Cruise Center, a cruise wholesaler that sells multiple cruise products across destination. Hello, Pak Johnny.
Hello, Pak Firhan. How are you?
So thank you for being here today to share your thoughts and insights, and I hope the discussion today will be a lively one and beneficial for those watching us today. Maybe let's dive straight in. I'll start with a rapid fire question. Without taking too long, please describe in one word how your 2022 has been so far. Maybe we'll start with Kenneth.
Exciting.
Exciting. Pak Johnny?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yes, great. How about Ivana?
Demanding and exciting. 2 words.
Demanding and exciting. I think all very positive adjectives. I think it also reflects the mood on the ground as people are trying to get back to travel, and both for the consumers and also the travel industry. But I think setting the context, the pandemic or the worst of this pandemic may not be over yet, but we have probably survived what is probably the most challenging public health crisis the world has faced in probably over 100 years. We have seen our industry and our communities challenged in many ways that we never imagined, right? The reality of 2020 and 2021, it sits in very stark contrast to the years that immediately preceded it. And I quote from the Cruise Line International report, Cruise Line International Association, CLEAR, in 2019, the global cruise industry welcomed nearly 300 million passengers, creating jobs for 1.8 million people around the world and contributing to 154 billion US dollars to the global economy. So there is a growing recognition of cruising as one of the best ways to experience the world. And then, of course, the pandemic hit all of us. Now, the travel industry, including the cruise sector, wasted no time in engaging experts and government authorities to strengthen what is already very robust public health measures and to put the people and community first, right? With these enhanced measures in place, the initial resumption of cruising began in Europe and some parts of the world, building confidence of the industry's new protocols and inspiring hope for the future. Following the global pause in cruise operations in mid-March, cruises resumed sailing in parts of the world, namely Asia, Europe, South Pacific, beginning in July 2020. Then cruises on the high seas started in Singapore closer towards end of 2020. With more than 480,000 passengers have sailed over 330 sailings since then. So the success of the initial sailings demonstrate the new protocols are working as designed to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 among passengers, crew, and destinations, including cruise ship visits, port of call if they stop by. So we fast forward to 2022, where most of the world have opened up their borders and international borders, including Singapore, which has transitioned to a vaccinated travel framework. So it seems that the light at the end of the tunnel is really here, right? And we can already see it. So the first question for all panelists is, what is the current state of the cruise industry in Asia, in your view, and also for Ivana, perhaps in Europe and Southern Europe? Maybe we perhaps can start with Ivana first.
Well, I would like to talk about Croatia because these are markets that we cover as a cruise destination. So in this year, finally, the cruising industry has recovered. Although I should say that even in the 2 pandemic years, we had a lot of cruising demands, but for the small cruise ships, which are practically much smaller than, for example, those that Kenneth is in charge for. So they have 18 cabins. They can accommodate not more than 50 packs together with crew. So and in the pandemic, when everyone wanted to be away from other people, unfortunately, and it was possible to take the social distance, not so much people. We have seen a great demand even in 2 pandemic years for that.
Okay.
Now, of course, with all the measure released and no more masks, for example, in Croatia, we don't have to wear them at all. There is a growing demand even with big cruise ships. Of course, in the port of Dubrovnik as the biggest port for cruise ships, they have been already announced arrivals, and the first, I think, MSC, the first cruise ship has already been there in at the beginning of April, and it will be arriving every Thursday until the end of the season, which will be in September. So I think that is a positive changes and return to the cruise industry in Croatia.
That sounds very positive. And I think
Yes.
we hope that's also a similar pattern and trajectory in Asia as well. Maybe Kenneth, any insights from you on what you think how Asia is performing?
I have to agree with what Ivana is saying. I mean, it's really positive. If you look from a Royal Caribbean point of view, all our 26 ships are back in the water globally. As of yesterday, we had the fantastic news. Voyager of the Seas, which is the last one, is actually officially back in the water, and we're sailing. If you look at the flip side, in Asia itself, there's a slightly different view of it. Although there's a pent-up demand for cruising and vacations, sea vacations, we have only one ship in the whole of Asia, which is Spectrum of the Seas. But I think in time to come, right, there'll be more and more interest as Asia actually contains one of the most promising cruise destinations globally. It's virtually untouched. So I think that if you put those two together, being that there's only one ship back in the water right now, cruising around Asia, as well as there's this huge pent-up demand, I think the future is really bright. What the gap is right now is how do we provide and how do we move forward in terms of providing this fantastic cruise vacation to the masses, to those who want to try cruise for the first time and those who want to repeat their old holidays, those wonderful memories that they had in the past, right? Therefore, therefore, we hope that there'll be more and more ships. I mean, we hear good news that Dream is coming back, and then we heard that Costa might be coming back into the waters. Those are all very good news for the cruise industry as a whole.
That's really nice to hear. I think more ships calling in Singapore, and also hopefully with more port of calls as well in the region. That I think augurs well for the cruise industry from Southeast Asia. Maybe Pak Johnny, given that you not only sell products in Asia but also in other parts of the world, are you also seeing trends maybe elsewhere, not in Asia, anywhere else? Can you share some insights as well?
Yes, certainly the market from Indonesia as well as I guess Singapore, we see that there is a growing demand for long haul as soon as the borders are opened. Now, for Indonesians, they started cruising as of the beginning of this year, in fact, in Europe. Now, for Singapore, it follows. I think after the 1st of March, there is a surge in demand for cruises out of Singapore since the government opened up the borders without any tests as long as you are vaccinated.
Vaccinated.
So this created it opened up the floodgates. In fact, I find it very interesting that the consumers now sort of would want the higher categories on the cruise ships that I think the demand for suites for higher categories like balconies, are in fact on the upside. So it's very interesting to note that there is a change of behavior of going for the premium product right now instead of the lower categories. That's and the pen up, yes.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting observation as well. I think it nicely segue into my next question on changing consumer trends and needs post pandemic. I suppose people are looking for experience after 2 years of being cooped up at home, and probably also they've been saving up for 2 years, so they don't mind spending a bit more, to have that holiday now. So that's why I think they're choosing for maybe the suites and balcony for also open air kind of ventilation, for better ventilation. Are there any other trends that you probably notice as well, Pak Johnny or Kenneth or Ivana, in terms of consumer trends
I
relating
want
to
to
cruise?
tell Johnny that then in this case we noticed that as well. So the Croatia and small cruise ships will be the perfect market for your guests, because not only that we have balconies, we have decks with deck chairs and with jacuzzis, and they can enjoy the open air. Sorry, Kenneth, it's our advantage in comparison with big cruise ships. So they can have that experience, because what we notice and what is our motto as well is that the experience is a new luxury, and it really is, because in comparison, again, Kenneth will hate me at the end of this session. I'm pretty sure. Small cruise ships that I'm promoting, in fact, they can more easily go, for example, in Croatia, visiting different islands, um, staying in different small ports that big ships unfortunately cannot. In Croatia, they can stop in Rijeka, which is my birth town. They can stop in Dubrovnik or Split. And with small cruise ships, we stop in different ports. We experience the local way of life, and this is exactly what our clients are looking for.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
it is
I
in a
like the word,
race.
and I like the word you use, new luxury. So I think that perfectly kind of describes what we are talking about. Kenneth, anything to add on from a big ship perspective?
I would say from Ivana's perspective, I see there's a certain clientele, probably a higher end clientele. For Royal Caribbean, looking at our ships, we look at innovation, we look at the quality of food, the expense of food that we have. That's really part and parcel of the whole experience, right? And in terms of innovation, you look at the entertainment on board. We are like the Vegas of on the seas. Royal Caribbean hires more, top class entertainers than with the West Side and Broadway put together, and you have it for one price. Right? I don't think small ships have the iFly, right? The flow rider, a rock climbing wall, right? All the latest and greatest in terms of entertainment, right? We have, if you're looking at food, a plethora of food that you can, you can't finish on your 4 nights or 5 nights. So those are the things that I think the new vacationer is looking for. And they're actively looking for the next biggest thing. And that's why the ships and the innovation on the ships that Royal Caribbean is coming in with is getting bigger and bigger. Spectrum of the Seas is the largest, most innovative ship in the region right now, right?
So
Go ahead.
So I suppose there are different products for different market segments as
Absolutely.
well, right? Depending on what you're looking for. And I think
Yeah,
those are
I don't
great
give you
insights, and those are great
Yeah, I
insights.
think
Everything
in
was flavor, right?
fact, there is
Go ahead, Pak
also
Joni.
there are also the actually clients apart from going to Europe and Alaska right now. There is a demand actually, people asking for cruises in the Far East. Unfortunately, China and Japan, as well as Hong Kong, is not open yet. So actually, there is a huge pent-up demand, so much so that some cruises out of Japan for 2023 in March and April has been fully booked. Uh,
Oh.
I mean, more than a year ahead. Yeah. So we are looking into October 2023 and 2024, in fact, for cruises out of Japan. With one ship that has been pulled out of the Japan itinerary when it was scheduled for the end of this year. Now there is a shortage, in fact, of inventory for cruises in the Far East.
I see. And Pak Johnny, I think, can always read my mind. He always preempts my next question. I have a data point as well from Clear 2021 report, which is quite positive. It says 74% of cruisers are likely to cruise in the next few years, with 2 out of 3 cruisers willing to cruise within the next year. So, and some of these 58% of these international vacationers who have never cruised are likely to cruise in the next few years. So I think it looks very positive, right, for the cruise industry and moving forward. So I think we may be off to a very good start. Now we get to the crux of our discussion on the Muslim traveler segment, right? The Muslim market is an important one, and that should not be ignored. And according to a Crescent rating report, by 2023, Muslims around the world are projected to spend at least 3 trillion US dollars on lifestyle products and no less than 20 billion US dollars on travel expenses. Now, at the same time, the number of Muslim travelers is projected to reach 230 million by 2026. So there are many discussions on what Muslim travelers need, and I believe the consensus is that aside from specific faith-based needs that should be accommodated, the rest of the needs of this segment may not differ much from other tourists. Having said that, cruising among the Muslim market is still rather nascent, which brings me to my next question for all the panelists. Is cruising for the Muslim market? And what are some of the amenities available for the market currently? And are there sensitivities that needs to be addressed? Maybe we hear from Pak Johnny from the Indonesia market, which is a huge cruising market. Any quick thoughts on this first? Pak, you're muted, sorry.
Yes. Indonesia has a huge Muslim population, so it is there is a big pool of prospective cruisers out of Indonesia. And as you said, Pa, apart from the faith-based needs, which most probably be it's food. The rest, I think, is not much of the needs are not much of a difference with the other cruises. But I do see that more and more Muslim groups are going for a cruise vacation, and with Dubai having cruises out of Dubai right now, especially in December and January. I think there will be a big surge of Muslims from Indonesia going to Dubai to take a cruise. Where although they may not have the United World Halal Development certification yet for halal meals, but I guess there is an option of a vegetarian or vegan food that I think uh, which is always available.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think, of course, if the cruise lines can meet these uh, uh, sort of halal kind of provide halal kind of food,
Mm.
then at least a corner, then I think many more will join.
Okay. For Ivana, since you are the only halal certified DMC in Western Balkans, how do you specifically market cruise for the Muslim clientele there, and how what's your experience like?
Well, I just want to tell one thing that so that Bosnian colleagues doesn't kill me when they will listen to this. So there are a couple of agencies halal certified in Bosnia, but we are the only one that are covering the Western Balkans, so the former Yugoslavia countries and Albania. So just to be clear, not to have problems out there on the market. So. In Croatia, and particularly, let's put aside Bosnia from the markets we cover, because it is 90% Muslim country. So even if they don't have a halal certificate, they prepare and provide services according to halal mostly. But in the other countries, halal friendly travel is still in its infancy. But we are working hard to move it, because together with Islamic Association of Croatia, with whom I work closely, and we are developing, in fact, we want to brand Croatia as a halal-friendly destination, which hopefully it will be more recognized in the next year or two. So we recently get that halal certificate for travel agencies, and we have implemented it on the first tour that we have for Muslim women. So I think this is a distinction that we did in comparison with other markets. And being and working with small cruises provide us with more flexibility, which means what Johnny said, the food is always the issue. So having only 18 cabins and working on a small ship, we were able to completely meet the halal standards when it comes to food. So no alcohol, only halal food. We have producers in Croatia that are halal certified. So the ship owner buys only food and ingredients for halal certified producers. Then we have Qurans and prayer, those carpets in every cabin. Everything that in fact is required
For the
with
Muslim
halal.
visitor. Okay.
Yes,
That's
so
great. That's great to know that for a smaller cruise ship, you're able to accommodate their needs, and especially for meals, you're able to really control that on a smaller basis. So that's great.
yes.
Maybe if I can move on to Kenneth as well. I think Kenneth, in Asia, there is a gap by a previous competitor who had marketed themselves as the first halal friendly cruise ship in this region. Is Royal Caribbean, who is the only one sailing now in this region, doing anything to capture this market share?
I think we just have to recognize that the the halal market, it is very attractive. It is, and it's growing. And also recognize that Muslim, like regular people, enjoy entertainment, enjoy rock climbing and your regular day-to-day bumper cars. So I think in terms of entertainment and what's available on Royal Caribbean, there is no distinction. But Johnny rightly said, I think most of the distinction comes in terms of provision of food, right? I think that's because it is a daily requirement, as well as it's also its mainstay. It has to be consumed on a daily basis. So where Royal Caribbean comes from is that because our ship is for everyone, we're basically catering for everyone, a wider audience, but we're not neglecting our Muslim friends and families. So what we look at is that we're looking at twofold. One, if you have really specific Muslim halal requirements for your food, we do have an avenue for you to request for it 90 days in advance, and we can provide halal meats for your consumption throughout your vacation. So we prepare that specifically for you in your advance, and you can consume it in our wonderful main dining room with the rest of our guests. So that's amazing opportunity there. So, but we have moved forward from there because we have a buffet area which is Windjammer, and Windjammer provides food from an international palette. So what we have recently changed and also provided is 2 serving stations with halal-friendly food, be it seafood, vegetarian, or halal meats. So there is selections enough for our Muslim friends to enjoy and still be part of the whole vacation example. So we are moving slowly, and maybe in time to come, you will have a separate menu for halal requirements at the main dining room and so forth. So we are looking at that.
Yeah, I think that's really fantastic. Like we have discussed, I think that the main requirement from for Muslims on a faith basis is really the dietary requirements, right? I think if that can be catered for the Muslim segment and the audiences, I think for the other experiences, they are just like any other tourist, right? Like Kenneth mentioned, they will still ride the amenities, use the amenities, swim, and do all the other fun activities on board, right? So yeah, moving right along, I think as we go through a reset in the industry because of the pandemic, buzzwords like technology, digitalization, and sustainability keep popping up, right? As we talk about how the industry is adapting. The question is to the 3 panelists: what are some of these things that you have seen or done in your company that is innovative, that will set the sailing experience apart from competitors or even a land-based vacation? For perhaps DMCs or wholesalers, do you foresee some of these trends affecting the way cruises are marketed in your respective regions? Perhaps I can start with Ivana.
Is this because I'm the only female here, or is just that
No,
you
I'm giving you
like
ladies
to
first.
push me in fire? So, to be honest, we are using social media to promote our cruises, and what we do, and even more intensively now, since again we deal with small cruises, which is then easier to provide many activities. I know Kenneth told that they have a lot of things, for example, climbing rock on board, and we have it in our national park. So and we can stop. There is a small port when we can stop and then make our guest experience such things. So again, as I told, every good has consumers. So I think we cannot compare it in this segment. But what I see first as a raise of Muslim female solo travelers that are looking for different type of experiences, but also the other ones like families, like and then when you have family, then you have to organize experiences to meet the children requirements and the adults requirements. So what we do, we use what we have on our market, and this is the nature that particularly if we talk about UAE and Saudi travelers, they see it as amazing because a lot of greenery, sea, rivers, something that they don't have in their homes. Okay, maybe they have, but not natural as we have. So we organize them for them different workshops, like cooking classes, like producing soaps, like olive picking. So different things that, sorry, Kenneth, again, cannot be experienced on board. You have to go somewhere on the spot to do that. So and this is exactly what we use to promote it on our social networks, websites, or when selling materials to our partners. I hope that I answered your question.
Okay, that's great. I think um, using social media and technology is the direction that everybody has got to kind of move on, right, and hop on that bus now as well. So for Kenneth, I just want to ask for you guys, how have you leveraged technology to improve customer experience on board the ship?
In many ways, Firhan. If you look at what we have invested in, starting from the first customer experience where you want to be able to be in control to create your own holiday. So on a ship, there's so many things to do, right? What do you want to do? So pre-cruise planning online, you can basically curate your own holiday. What do you want to do? What hotel, what restaurants you want to eat at? What activities you want to enjoy? What shows you want to do watch? So that's the first step. So everything's kind of digitalized, and then you transfer that experience onto an app. So on an app, on our Royal Caribbean app, which I think Firhan you have experienced before as well, everything's at your fingertips. The date and the time of your next dining, the next show, your next activity, what time is your bumper car, right? And that you can again create that. So that basically removes the need for paperwork, and that's sustainability in the long run. So wherever you go, most people will have their phones, will have their mobiles, and then you'll be able to look at that to leverage on creating the best memories that you have for your holiday. Now that's only one part. If you look at sustainability in the long run, we look at how we manage our food in terms of technology. We look at sustainable provision of our seafood, right? We make sure that they're all certified, that the seafood is actually caught and not hunted down in certified under certified manners. So a lot of these kind of things that we look at. If you look at our ship in terms of technology, the ship is the most technologically advanced ship in the water right now. Even the hull is specially made so that it reduces the drag on the water to reduce the fuel, increase the fuel efficiency of this huge ship. And last but not least, my favorite is that if you look at what's emitted in the chimney of the ship, the smoke is white because we pass all the emissions out through water. We use water to filter out all the negative, all the bad emissions through the funnel, and we recycle that water to be fresh enough in order to be released into the sea at the next port of call. So if you can look at all these things, that technology plays a huge part in terms of the customer experience for Royal Caribbean, as well as sustainability for the business in the long run. So we try to cover as much as possible in all these instances.
Looks like watching one of those National Geographic mega structure show, right, where they show the engineering behind such huge ships. truly remarkable. I was on the ship recently as well, and what I caught my eye were actually the virtual rooms that you have in some of your inside
Inside cabin.
staterooms, right?
Yeah.
The cabins where they don't naturally have a balcony. What they have done is to include a virtual what do you call it? Virtual view lah.
Like a
So
screen.
yeah, virtual screen. I thought that's quite innovative and quite different and quite exciting as well.
It looks
Yeah.
very real as well, right? Giving you the
Yeah.
sense that you're actually looking out.
We've touched a bit just now on sustainability, but Johnny, do you think consumers sustainability issues like this matter to the consumer right now or in the future?
Yes, I think the present time, the consumers now look at sustainability, but I think more of the protocols on the ship right now is the one that is always being asked. The health protocols, what happens if you get sick, what happens if you get COVID on the ship. So these things we have to reassure that, in fact, I think the cruise business, the cruise liners actually for the past 2 years have been re-engineering their ventilation system. Now this has to be, I think, this information has to be given out so that people are actually more secured on a cruise ship than on any land-based accommodation where
Mm.
air is recirculated into the room, whereas on the cruise ship now most of it fresh air are being brought in, and used air or dirty air is being thrown
Mm.
out into the open. So there is no recirculation on, especially the new ships. I think such technology has been implemented, and the the older ships have, for the past 2 years, have been have changed their ventilation system. Now, yeah, because of that, I think cruising will become an attractive option in the time to come, especially post pandemic. Yeah, and that's what
Okay.
we see actually. Yeah, right
Okay.
now.
That's great.
I
And I
see
think
one competitive advantage again for us. So basically, on our ships, you can open the window and make fresh air circulate, so you don't need to use technology. Again, it's okay. It's smaller ships, then you can do it. And another one, please, Kenneth, don't hate me. But what Croatia did about sustainability reduce the number of big cruise ships that can basically enter the port, because what we noticed, and it was not sustainable at all. Maybe it was sustainable for the cruise liner and the ship itself, but it wasn't for the destination. That the income that was generated from passengers coming from big cruises, we are talking, for example, for Dubrovnik now, was 7 times less than the expenses that such cruiser has generated. So you know that Dubrovnik is also the UNESCO protected heritage, cultural heritage, and it was one of the demands of UNESCO to lower the number of cruises allowing to enter daily. So there now we have this the Dubrovnik Port Authority has decided to allow only 2 big cruises daily for the sustainability of the destination itself, which I think it's very important. I will give you just an example. There are some stairs. Dubrovnik is a middle ages town. No, we are talking about 13th century. So can you imagine that due to those big number of passengers passing by, those stairs that will take you out of the town center, they became so sleepy that they needed to cut the one layer to make them not sleepy again. So it is just, for example, an impact that when they were talking and thinking about sustainability, they needed to reduce also the number of ships. I know that it is not going in favor of big cruise ships, but I think it's important to talk also about that other side of cruisings.
Correct. I think that that's an excellent point, Ivana. I think the issue of overcrowding and sustainability to destinations and also port of calls is something that is also going on in the industry and in the literature. I actually wanted to cover this, that one of the appeals of going on cruise for either large ships or small ships is the ability to cover multiple destinations in a single trip, right? Because you have port of calls, right? And from the data I got from Clear, that the average passenger spends about 385 US dollar in the port while visiting a cruise, and another $100 in the port before they board a cruise. So I suppose in terms of the economic impact or spin off to the port of calls that they are visiting can be quite significant if there are multiple calls on a regular season, and if you multiply that over the year, over the entire year. But also that, I guess, there's a trade-off, right? Like Ivana said, to the local economy, whether the impact on the environment and so on. So that has to be managed on a local basis as well. So the question then to the panelists, that now that cruise sailings with port of calls have resumed in most parts of the world and going to resume soon within Southeast Asia, what kind of shore excursions are popular amongst your target audience? Is there anything that can be curated specifically for the Muslim segment to curate or update these itineraries? For example, for the Indonesian or the Malaysian market, when they go for shore excursions, are there anything new that we should do for them to cater for their needs? And also maybe from Europe perspective, whether there's anything, where do you stop by, and whether there's anything new or interesting for them to do. I'll start with Pak Johnny first this time round. Pak Johnny.
Yes, I think yes, we can do many things. In fact, I think tours to the Muslim quarters, to places of worship, especially like in Singapore, maybe we can go to the Malay quarters where they have malls there, and this is interesting because you go into the you delve into the culture, and I think not only the Muslim passengers will be interested. I think the general passengers will also be interested, and for maybe Istanbul and other places, even if it is open in Tianjin. I think if we have more time, we can also visit mosques in such places, and there are lots of halal restaurants to go to during the shore excursion. So this is a good a good kind enrichment kind of excursion that is perhaps can be curated. Yeah.
Okay. For Ivana, where do your ships call on to? Are there interesting destinations, or and do they cater specifically for the Muslim market?
Well, what I wanted to just to emphasize, the money they spend, as you told before, I think it is not like that. Basically, I'm speaking about Croatia, because what we have from big cruises they are not spending too much on the destination. They barely choose the excursions on board. They pay it on board. They, as Kenneth says, that they have on big cruises everything on board, so they don't spend in restaurants, in souvenir shops, or whatever. Regarding excursions, again, something that I see as our competitive advantage, because a very big part of the market I cover, we have a strong Islamic history, because we were under Ottoman Empire for 5,000 years. For example, in my birth town, Rijeka, we have the most beautiful mosque in the Europe. We have a lot of things to show to the Muslim travelers. But basically, as Johnny said, I think that Muslim travelers do not differ much from other travelers, because they all of them like nature, all of them like gastronomy, all of them like to experience the area and the way of life of the not only port of call but the surrounding areas. And I would like to emphasize as well the pre and post cruising tours that, for example, in my market can be in Serbia or Montenegro or Bosnia, and where they can experience much more than it is possible on during their cruises. Because with big cruises you are limited with time, and then again in comparison with small cruise ships, we have much more time, and we are overnight in different ports, which enable our guests to experience even during the entire night if they want to.
That's excellent, and I think there's so much to do as well, right? In the different port of call. Kenneth, very quickly,
Yes.
do you have anything to add to that?
I think ports of call will be a brilliant addition to cruising, and when it comes back, it's just going to boost the industry. I think this is very important, because as part of the experience, people would like to see what's changed. What's changed over the last 2 years in the pandemic? You might have been to Port Klang or Penang 100 times, but over the last 2 years, nobody has been there. Like nobody knew that Port Klang actually has wonderful cafes. They are very Instagrammable, so the young may be interested to come in to have a look and shoot some Instagram in these cafes, or a new shopping experience in Penang. So
there's definitely, I suppose, there's definitely room for shore excursions to improve and cater to the needs of the newer segment of cruises as well.
Shore excursions, pick up the inquisitive side, the curious side of the everyday traveler, which is why it's kind of an interesting part, a very important part of the cruise experience.
Great. I think great discussion and sharing. We have actually come to the end of the time allocated for our session today. But before we go, one last rapid fire question to the three panelists. A very simple and light-hearted one. If you could be anywhere in the world on holiday right now, where would you be? Pak Johnny, where would you go?
To Croatia.
Right now? Yes.
Yes. We are sold. We are going to Croatia.
So much about Croatia that I want to visit Dubrovnik again.
You are very welcome.
Ivana, where would you like to be?
Well, to be honest, I would like to be now in Bali.
Oh, okay.
In Indonesia. It is
one
of my bucket list. Yeah, it is one of on the highest point of my bucket list. So it will be great to be there.
I think we can see Pak Johnny welcoming Ivana and Ivana welcoming Pak Johnny. Kenneth, you want to join on their trip as well? Where would you like to be?
I'll be somewhere in the middle, anywhere I can find a beach.
I see.
Oh, Croatia as well, Montenegro, Albania. So you have plenty of destinations in markets I cover. So it will be a fun trip, Firhan.
Great. And of course, as working for Singapore Tourism Board, I also welcome all of you back to Singapore for your holidays soon. Awesome. So I think that gives us some ideas and inspiration for our upcoming vacation. It's been a pleasure chatting with the three of you, and thank you so much for the candid sharing and open sharing. Travel is back. Go out and explore the world safely. And I think that's all from me, Firhan, signing out. Thank you again for joining the Halal in Travel Global Summit 2022 hosted by Crescent Rating. Thank you.